Hello and welcome back. So in this point here, I would actually want us to see how we can use the XLOOKUP function to check on the last transaction, given that we have one of the items. Let's say, for example, we have the product name to be the laptop. So we would actually want to check the latest supplier for the laptop. That is, we are going to check this transaction table here. Then in this transaction table, we are going to identify the product name, which is actually the laptop. You can actually check that I have a laptop here. That's on 2012-01. That's 1st of December 2000. We also have a laptop here. That's 3rd of December 2000. And finally, on this point, we also do have a laptop 6th of December 2000. Yes. So we have 3 laptops. And we also have 3 suppliers. We have Eric, we have Ben on this point, and we have Nick here. But I would actually want us to use the XLOOKUP so that we can obtain the latest supplier for the product name equivalent to the laptop. So the latest supplier in this case has to be Nick, because you can actually check that our table is actually small. But in some cases, you might be having a very long table, so XLOOKUP will actually be very helpful. In my case here, you can check that this is the supplier. Nick is actually the supplier for the latest transaction, which actually happened on 6th of December 2000. So let's actually see. So on this case here, the product name is actually laptop, so you actually want to obtain the supplier. So it's equivalent to X. So we would actually want to obtain the supplier. So in this point, before we actually continue, I would urge you to subscribe to my YouTube channel and also follow me on the X account. And by following me on the X account, we will be able to build a very big platform on data analytics. Kindly do so. Follow me on the X account and also on the YouTube platform. That's it. So let's go. It's equivalent to XLOOKUP like that. Then you actually open. This is actually the lookup value. Yes, that's actually the laptop, and that lookup value is actually located in this lookup array. That is from J10 to J19, comma. Then which array are you returning? In this point, we are returning the supplier, and the supplier is actually on this array here. So select the array for the supplier M10 to M19, comma. If not found, in our case, we are not actually interested with that. So another comma. Then on this point here, it will actually ask you the match mode. The match mode in this point has to be the exact match. Looking for the exact name for the supplier who actually supplied the laptop. That's the latest laptop. So exact match. So double click on it like that. Comma. Search mode. So you can search mode. Now in the search mode, you can actually check that you have search first to the last or search last to the first. So in this point, the latest transaction, the transaction which happened recently, has to be the last to the first. So we are coming from the last to the first. So just like that, you close the XLOOKUP function. So we are starting from the last. So from the last actually means it will have to look on this array here, identify the laptop, then it will actually return the name for the supplier. That's from the last. So if we were actually doing from the first transaction, it could have been the first laptop, then you have to return the first supplier, which is actually Eric. But on this point here, we are returning the latest transaction. So the product name is actually the laptop, and the supplier's name is actually Nick. Hit enter on the keyboard. Now you can actually check that we do have Nick, just like that. So basically, that's how you can use the XLOOKUP so that you can return the details for the latest transaction. Now, what actually happens if you would like to obtain the details for the first transaction? Because in this case here, we have laptop up there, a laptop there, and also a laptop here. What if you would actually want to obtain the details for the first transaction? So for the first transaction, the product name is actually equivalent to the laptop here. Yes. And the supplier is actually equivalent to Eric. So how is that? So how is that actually possible with the XLOOKUP? So before we actually check on that, I'll actually bring you to this point here. So in this case here, I'll actually be accepting your projects, so you can actually get me all the projects and I'll actually be doing them for you. Every month it will be $550. That's for the monthly subscription, and that's cloud in Excel, prompting, dashboards, charts, automation, pivot tables and models, Power BI, financial forecast, templates management, and also the one-time task. For example, the dashboard designs, the analysis and insights, smart macros, and advanced Power BI reports. So this one actually ranges from $150 to $300. So you can actually check that the prices are actually favorable. So I can actually get you all the work done, yes, quickly. Then up here, you will also realize that I also do work on the templates. So I can actually design for you a template and manage it for you for a month or in every month at just $50. So $50, I design for you the template and manage it for you. I can also design for you these other templates here. For example, the personal finance templates, the budget trackers templates, HR tracker templates, the sales performance trackers. So all those kinds of templates, and you can actually check that the prices are actually favorable from $12, $17, $19, $22, $19, $15. So the prices are actually low, and I'll actually design it for you perfectly. And the biggest deal of all is that I will also allow you to access all this content of mine here. That's the content on Microsoft Excel. I'll allow you to access all this content at just $100. So remember, when the site is actually back, all these courses will actually be going at $945. So imagine from $945, yes, all the way to $100. That's actually the biggest bargain. When the site is back, you won't actually lose the access to the courses. The access has to be lifetime. So your access will be transferred from the Google Drive all the way to the website. So that's all. So to actually reach me out for the templates, the projects, and the courses, this is actually my email. So hit on this email and we'll actually talk business and help you solve the problems in your business or in your company. Now, on this point here, I would actually want us to return the first supplier, or I would actually want us to return the first supplier for the product equivalent to the laptop. So in our case, we actually know that the first supplier was actually equivalent to Eric. So that's it. So let's actually go. So it's equivalent to XLOOKUP like that. Then you open. This is actually my lookup value on H22, comma. That lookup value is actually located on this lookup array like that, comma. And the return array, we are actually returning the supplier. So supplier array is actually from M10 to M19, comma. It will ask you for if not found. So I'll actually skip on that. Then on this point here, I'm actually returning the exact supplier. That's the exact name for the supplier who actually supplied the product name equivalent to laptop in the first transaction. So exact match, yes, in the first transaction. So we are searching from the first one, from the first transaction to the last transaction. Remember, in the previous one, we were actually searching from the last transaction to the first transaction. And in this point here, we were obtaining the latest transaction. But in this first one, we are obtaining the earliest transaction. So double click on it like that. It's actually 1. And you close the XLOOKUP function, hit enter on the keyboard, and you will have the supplier's name to be equivalent to Eric. That's it. It's actually equivalent to Eric.